maintain totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Ultima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, you know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States. And the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy. But instead, he wanted to play big boy. And so now, you know, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Is that a message for Cuba, Mr. President?
Please. Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official
Yes,
to
yes.
coordinate?
It's
Can you
all
just
being
unpack that?
done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
Would run Venezuela?
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time. The people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, you know, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well, I
going?
understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
Well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Sure. We call members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
If I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, a lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
People to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when he entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. The safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get him by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it. Go ahead, finish.
To be in the time being right now, do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me.
that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot. And we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So, with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. We're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when
Well,
it comes
in
to
terms
the
of
oil and
China
drugs?
and Russia, Russia, when we get things straightened out, But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it back. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying, Mr. President, are you
to the people of
saying that,
Venezuela?
Mr. President, are
Go
you
ahead
saying
behind
that?
you, please.
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of
That
Venezuela?
you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country and they destroyed it. Remember, I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids. And that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're going
troops
to be
to
a team
provide?
that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States. And frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
The country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're
arrested
very
last night?
protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Is there a message for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile, but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit. well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
The answer is yes. Yes. No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President,
Mr.
President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect. To be the
Mr. President,
leader.
is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So it's not going to cost us anything. We will. Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what that was happening. And you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy, very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Going to send in the U.S. military.
What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well, I
US
don't want to
at
get
war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well,
country?
no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Unless it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin. If you want
About Putin. Well, that's always nice
You had
to
a
talk
phone.
about Putin.
You had a phone call with him
Yeah.
on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people. I thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours. and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1 quarter. So I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace. So I only give 1 quarter. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, you know, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it. Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general, and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much, everybody.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سيدي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود ولي العهد رئيس مجلس الوزراء، فخامة الرئيس دونالد جي ترامب رئيس الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، أصحاب السمو والمعالي، طاب مساؤكم بكل خير.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, Your Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister, the Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, Your Highnesses and Excellencies, warm greetings.
نستأذنكم ببدء مراسم التوقيع على وثيقة الشراكة الاقتصادية الاستراتيجية بين حكومة المملكة العربية السعودية وحكومة الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
With your permission, we shall now begin the signing ceremony of the Strategic Economic Partnership between the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United States of America.
يتفضل بالتوقيع سيدي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود ولي العهد رئيس مجلس الوزراء، ويتفضل بالتوقيع عليها أيضا فخامة الرئيس دونالد جي ترامب رئيس الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Signing on behalf of the Kingdom, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister. Signing on behalf of the United States, the Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
والآن نستأذنكم سيدي صاحب السمو وفخامة الرئيس ببدء مراسم التبادل والإعلان عن عدد من الاتفاقيات والمذكرات الثنائية بين المملكة العربية السعودية والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Your Royal Highness, Mr. President, with your permission, we shall now begin the ceremony of exchange and announcements of a number of bilateral agreements and memorandums between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United States of America.
نبدأها بمذكرة التفاهم بين وزارة الطاقة في المملكة العربية السعودية ووزارة الطاقة في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية للتعاون في مجال الطاقة. يتقدم من الجانب السعودي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير عبد العزيز بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز وزير الطاقة، ومن الجانب الأمريكي معالي السيد كريس رايت والطاقة.
Starting with a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Energy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Department of Energy for cooperation in the field of energy. From the Saudi side, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Aziz bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, Minister of Energy. From the U.S. side, His Excellency Mr. Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy.
يلي ذلك مذكرة نوايا بين وزارة الدفاع في المملكة العربية السعودية ووزارة الدفاع في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في شأن تحديث وتطوير قدرات القوات المسلحة السعودية من خلال القدرات الدفاعية المستقبلية. يتقدم من الجانب السعودي صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير خالد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز وزير الدفاع، ومن الجانب الأمريكي معالي السيد بيت هيكسث وزير الدفاع.
Next, a letter of intent between the Ministry of Defense of Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Department of Defense regarding the modernization and development of the capabilities of the Saudi armed forces through future defense capabilities. From the Saudi side, His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, Minister of Defense. From the U.S. side, His Excellency Mr. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense.
أما الآن فنسرد لكم مجموعة من الاتفاقيات ومذكرات التفاهم. مذكرة تعاون في مجال التعدين والموارد المعدنية بين وزارة الصناعة والثروة المعدنية في المملكة العربية السعودية ووزارة الطاقة في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Announcing the agreements of Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in the Field of Mining and Mineral Resources between the Ministry of Industry and the Mineral Resources in Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Department of Energy.
خطاب نوايا لإكمال الأعمال وتعزيز التعاون المشترك وتطوير المتطلبات المتعلقة بالذخيرة والتدريب وخدمات الإسناد والصيانة وتحديث الأنظمة وقطع الغيار والتعليم للأنظمة البرية والجوية لوزارة الحرس الوطني.
Announcing a letter of intent to complete work and enhance joint cooperation on ammunition, training, support services, maintenance, system upgrades, spare parts, and education for land and air systems of the National Guard.
مذكرة تفاهم بين برامج الشراكات الدولية بوزارة الداخلية ومكتب التحقيقات الفيدرالي FBI بوزارة العدل الأمريكية.
Memorandum of Understanding between the International Partnership Program at the Ministry of Interior and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
مذكرة نوايا بين وزارة الدفاع في المملكة العربية السعودية ووزارة الدفاع في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في شأن تطوير القدرات الصحية للقوات المسلحة السعودية.
A letter of intent between the Ministry of Defense of Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Department of Defense regarding the development of the health capabilities of the Saudi Armed Forces.
يلي ذلك مذكرة تفاهم للتعاون القضائي بين وزارة العدل في المملكة العربية السعودية ووزارة العدل في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Memorandum of Understanding for Judicial Cooperation between the Ministry of Justice in Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Department of Justice.
اتفاقية تنفيذية بين وكالة الفضاء السعودية في المملكة العربية السعودية والإدارة الوطنية للملاحة الجوية والفضاء ناسا في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية للتعاون في مشروع كيوب سات لرصد الطقس الفضائي ضمن مهمة أرتميس 2.
An executive agreement between the Saudi Space Agency and NASA for cooperation in the CubeSat-2 space weather monitoring project as part of the Artemis mission.
اتفاقية بين حكومة المملكة العربية السعودية وحكومة الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية بشأن المساعدة المتبادلة بين إدارتي الجمارك في الدولتين.
An agreement between the government of Saudi Arabia and the government of the United States regarding mutual assistance between the customs authorities of the two countries.
يلي ذلك بروتوكول تعديل اتفاقية بشأن النقل الجوي بين حكومة المملكة العربية السعودية وحكومة الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Next, protocol amending the air transport agreement between the government of Saudi Arabia and the government of the United States of America.
بعد ذلك مذكرة تفاهم للتعاون بين المعهد الوطني لأبحاث الصحة في المملكة والمعهد الوطني للحساسية والأمراض المعدية في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في مجال البحوث الطبية الخاصة بالأمراض المعدية.
Next, a memorandum of understanding between the National Institute for Health Research in Saudi Arabia and the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases on medical research related to infectious diseases.
اتفاقية تعاون بين الهيئة الملكية لمحافظة العلا ومؤسسة سميثسونيان من خلال المعهد الوطني لحديقة الحيوان وعلم الأحياء للمحافظة على البيئة.
cooperation agreement between the Royal Commission for Al-Ula and the Smithsonian Institute National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute.
اتفاقية أخرى اتفاقية تعاون بين الهيئة الملكية لمحافظة العلا ومؤسسة سميثسونيان من خلال المتحف الوطني للفنون الآسيوية.
And last but not least, cooperation agreement between the Royal Commission for Al-Ula and the Smithsonian Institute National Museum of Asian Arts.
ليس هذا فحسب، بل الشراكة الاستراتيجية التي استمرت لعقود طويلة ستمتد بتوقيع المزيد من الاتفاقيات ومذكرات التفاهم في المنتدى الاستثماري السعودي الأمريكي، راجين للبلدين شراكة مستدامة ومستقبل مزدهر.
To hear, this decades-long strategic partnership will continue with more signings of agreements and memoranda of understanding at the Saudi-US Investment Forum. In closing, we wish both nations a fruitful partnership and a prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have King Abdullah with us. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, actually, long before even my first term. And we've had a great relationship. He's a great gentleman, a great leader, and does a fantastic job in his country. His son, we're lucky enough to have his handsome son with us today. So it's good to see you again. We've had some quick discussions just now, and we're going to have some longer discussions after this. And the relationship with Jordan has been very strong, has been with me, and it really has been with the country. But I think I've been closer than other presidents to Jordan and what Jordan represents. And it's an honor to have you and your son with us today. And if you'd like to say a few words, and thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having us and so short after your inauguration. I think just as a testament to what you said is a special relationship between our two countries and the personal relationship of friendship and trust between the two of us. Mr. President, I truly believe that with all the challenges that we have in the Middle East, that I finally see somebody that can take us across the finish line to bring stability, peace, and prosperity to all of us in the region. And it is, I think, our collective responsibility in the Middle East to continue to work with you, to support you, to achieve those lofty goals. So I'm very delighted to be here. And as you said, sir, we've got some very interesting discussions ahead.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, many people in the region, especially Jordan, are worried about the annexation of the West Bank. Will you give His Majesty the King guarantee that you won't allow Israel to annex the West Bank? And how are you going to?
I think that's going to work out very well. That's not really what we're talking about today. I think that's something that's going to work out automatically, and it's in good shape. And we discuss it. Other people have discussed it with us and with me. That's going to work out. West Bank is going to work out very well.
Mr. President, why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly. I think maybe you want to say it now, or?
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? Right. Obviously, we have to look at the best interests of the United States, of the people in the region, especially to my people of Jordan. And we're going to have some interesting discussions today. I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on Gaza challenges.
So you
I want to tell you that, excuse me, wait, just please. I didn't know that, what you just said, 2,000 children with cancer or other problems. And that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it. And we'll be working on the rest with Egypt. I think you're going to see some great progress. I think with Jordan, you're going to see some great progress. 3 of us, and we'll have some others helping, and we're going to have some others at a very high level helping, and the whole thing will come. It's not a complex thing to do. And with the United States being in control of that piece of land, a fairly large piece of land. You're going to have stability in the Middle East for the first time. And the Palestinians, or the people that live now in Gaza, will be living beautifully in another location. They're going to be living safely. They're not going to be killed, murdered, and having to leave every 10 years, because I've been watching this for so many years. It's nothing but trouble. Everyone's being killed. They're being robbed. It's like living in hell. And they're going to end up having a great home, great families that don't have to get mugged and killed and beaten up and harassed by Hamas and everybody else. And I know we'll be able to work something. And what you just said about the 2000 is fantastic. It's so beautiful. It's music to my ears. But we're going to be able to work something, and I know we'll be able to work something also with I believe, not 100%, but 99%. We're going to work out something with Egypt.
But Mr. President, you election campaign. Mr. President, how is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has been clear. Taxpayer dollars won't be used for this. So
No,
what money are you going to use to buy Gaza?
We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it. We're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it. And we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site. And we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things. And we'll make that site into what it should be. And the people from Gaza who wouldn't be able to be there for years, because you're talking about just to get it and prepare it and to take care of all of the problems that currently it has. As you know, tunnels, and people are in those tunnels, and you have some good people and some bad people, and you may have hostages right now. You know, you have the hostages possibly there. They don't know where they are. And, you know, I have a Saturday deadline, and I don't think they're going to make the deadline personally. I think they want to play tough guy, but we'll see how tough they are. But it's going to be a wonderful thing. It's going to be wonderful for the Middle East. I think it'll turn the Middle East. I think you're going to have peace in the Middle East. You're going to eventually have peace in the Middle East.
Couldn't this deadline risk undermining the talks that you're having with the king today, and risk the kind of wider peace that you're trying to?
Because we're not talking about a big situation. We're talking about something that can go very quickly. We're talking about it's going to go quickly. It's not going to take a long time. Okay. That's not going to take a long time. You know bullies, you know what a bully is, right? You know, the bully, I've always, and I found it throughout my life, a bully is the weakest person. And they're bullies. Hamas is bullies. The weakest people are bullies. You know that, right? All right, go ahead.
Mr. President, you were saying that Palestinians will live somewhere else safe. Where exactly do you want them to live?
Well, it's not where I want them to live. It's going to be where we ultimately choose as a group. And I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan. I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Egypt. We may have someplace else, but I think when we finish our talks, we'll have a place where they're going to live very happily and very safely. And, you know, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip, but they have no choice. They have to be. And they're being killed there at levels that nobody's ever seen. No place in the world is like as dangerous as the Gaza Strip. They don't want to be there. They have no alternative. When they have an alternative, not one person will want to stay where they are. Nobody wants to stay there. They're living in hell. It's a death trap.
Mr. President, how do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land? Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, any questions?
King Abdullah, what do you think about the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip? Do you want to see the U.S. own the Gaza Strip?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the president is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the president and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present it to the president and not get ahead of ourselves.
And is there a parcel of land in Jordan that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well, I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that the president is looking forward to getting a group of us Arabs here to discuss the overall plan.
And last question, the 2,000 children, are those from the Gaza Strip?
Absolutely, from the Gaza
Are
Strip.
you willing to change your mind, Mr.
That's from the
President?
Gaza Strip, the 2,000.
Are you willing to change your mind if you hear the Egyptian and the Arab plan end of the month? If they present you something different, are you open?
I think we sort of have gone down the line. We know pretty much what is going to be presented. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be magnificent for the Palestinians. They're going to be in love with it. I did very well with real estate. I can tell you about real estate. They're going to be in love with it.
But Mr. President, does it concern you that moving 2 million people from there?
It's a very small number of people relative to other things that have taken place over the decades and centuries. It's a very small number of people. And they're living a terrible life. Look at the way they're living now. Nobody's living like that in the entire world. They're living under buildings that are mostly fallen down and will continue to fall down. And they're living under. People are being killed every day. The conditions are horrible. There are no conditions anywhere in the world that are worse than the Gaza Strip right now.
But don't you have
Mr.
concern
President,
that you
you
can
said all
destabilize
hell-
Jordan and
You said all
Egypt?
hell will break out if all the hostages are not released on Saturday. What did you mean by that? And are you encouraging Netanyahu to walk away from this deal? Have you talked about this with him?
So I've looked at at the condition of people coming out of the hostage situation, and it's horrible. I looked at the before and after yesterday. 3 young men. One is dead now, as you know, the older gentleman who died, which everybody said he was alive and well. He's dead. But the 3 young men, and I looked at them from a short while ago, and I looked at them now. They are emaciated. They look like Holocaust survivors. They looked. They'll get better, but they're in rough shape. They were treated really badly, and we've heard things from them since. And I think the reason that Hamas is playing so cute is because they saw the reaction to these 3 people that came out, and the other ones. Look, the one young lady had her hand blown off practically, and they were not in great shape either. But she's missing her fingers and a big part of her hand. You know what she did? She was stopping a bullet that was aimed at her. She went like that, and it blew off her hand. Now, I think I think they want time, because I think the people that they have living are in such bad shape, because they're sending the most healthy people out because they don't want to send the least healthy people out. And there was an uproar when they saw the people from yesterday. So these people so I don't want to do 2 and then we do another 2 in another week and then we do 4 in 3 weeks. No. They either have them out by Saturday at 12 o'clock or all bets are off.
Mr. President, would you still consider withholding aid to those countries if they don't accept your plans to accept?
Well, I don't want to say that because we've had such a good relationship and we're doing so well just in the short time that we've been talking. I mean, the king just made a statement. I didn't ask him to do that, about literally saving 2,000 young children from the Gaza Strip. We didn't know about that. You didn't know about that. Nobody did except for the king and his son. I assume you told your son, right? And I just thought it was great. Now, I think we'll do something. I don't have to threaten with money. We contribute a lot of money to Jordan and to Egypt, by the way, a lot, to both. But I don't have to threaten that. I think we're above that. I do believe we're above that. So.
Would you consider other countries, not Jordan and Egypt? There was talks about Indonesia, Albania, other places.
Yeah, sure, we would. And we have other countries that want to get involved. We have a lot of people that want to get involved. There's a great sense of wanting to help the Palestinians. There's a lot of good countries out there, people that rule those countries with
big hearts, and this gentleman is at the top of the list.
But if they don't want to leave, how are you going to force them, Mr. President?
Oh, they're going to be great. They're going to be very happy.
Your Majesty, should we expect that the Jordanian response will be part of a coordinated Arab response?
The response will be from a multitude of countries, Arab, international. I know the Europeans want to step in. And again, we'll probably have to look to the help of the United States to make sure that COGAT, which is the clearing agency on the Israeli side, makes this as efficient as possible. Because 2,000 kids, the best way to get to them is by helicopters and get them straight to our institutions. And I also believe that quite a few countries would also probably like to take some of those kids and have them treated in their hospitals. So we hope to launch this ASAP.
Yes, and that's right. This should have been done by the Biden administration, but they didn't do anything. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So this should have been done by the Biden administration. This should have never happened because October 7th would have never happened. If I were president, zero chance of happening. You wouldn't have had that whole mess where the Middle East got blown up, and you wouldn't have had Ukraine and Russia fighting. That would have never happened. And by the way, we're making good progress there, I think. I really think we're making some very good progress.
Mr. President, you said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it could be a diamond. It could be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East. And you're going to have peace. It's going to bring peace in the Middle East. Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years, you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long, all the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing. It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work. And those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
And just to follow up with one on that for King Abdullah, can you clarify again, sir, how do you feel about the U.S. taking Gaza, as the president said?
Well, again, this is something that we as Arabs will be coming to the United States with something that we're going to talk about later to discuss all these options.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
And Mr. President, would you seek to personally develop property in Gaza after this?
No. I've had a great career in real estate.
Mr.
When you've done what I've done in the last number of years, including the 4 years that we should have been doing something else, frankly, because people see that now for sure. But when you've done what I've done, you can just do more good for people when you're president. When you're president, we can do things. This is all things that should have been done, but actually things that shouldn't have had to be done. Gaza, absolutely, it would have been so great if the Biden administration would have started this. But actually, in all fairness to them, they should have never let it happen. It did happen. And because of the fact that they let this happen, this catastrophe of October 7th, something like this becomes practical and very real, meaning the development and all of the things that I've talked about with respect to the Gaza Strip. If you didn't have the October 7th catastrophe, and it was a horrible catastrophe, then probably you wouldn't be talking about that. But the only thing I can say is this is going to bring stability and peace to the Middle East. And ultimately, when it's developed, which will be in quite a while from now, because we want to let things calm down. But when it's developed, it's going to bring tremendous numbers of jobs to the Middle East, including the people of your country.
Mr. President, what if it does not bring peace to the Middle East? There are many Palestinians, even though you say that everything is going to be beautiful, everything is going to be lovely, they're not going to want to go back. There are going to be people who want to go back and feel like that it is their right to do that. You haven't said, will there be any type of repercussions or anything that happens?
We don't think that's going to happen. We think people are going to be very happy, thrilled. A lot of those people that you're talking about are going to end up maybe living there and maybe working there, but it'll be in a different form. We have had tremendous support for this project, and we think the biggest asset of the project. It's going to bring peace ultimately to the Middle East. All right.
Mr. President, one last question.
Go ahead, behind you. You've asked enough.
Mr. President, one of your promises on the campaign trail is to bring peace to the Middle East. It was a promise to your Arab voters here. The Arab voters in the United States oppose this. What do you say to them?
Well, if you look at Michigan, where we have a large Arab population, as you know, I was just telling the king that we won. As you know, I won the Arab population. Now, when I started off, I wasn't leading, and when I finished, a few months later, we started campaigning in Michigan. And when I finished, we won it by a tremendous amount, by 30 points. So my relationship with the Arab population has been fantastic. And my relationship with the Middle East is very good with all the countries, just about all the countries. Let's see, I would say all the countries. And they all want to do something, and they want to see peace in the Middle East. All the stories you hear about the Middle East not really wanting peace, that they want war, they want this, they want to go a certain place. Let me tell you, those stories are false. They want to have peace. I know them all very well. They want to have peace. They want to have a good life like other people. And this will be a big factor in bringing peace to the Middle East. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everybody. This is a great honor and a real privilege. I'm thrilled to be here today with our nation's next incredible, and she will be incredible, Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi. And I want to congratulate Pam. She's worked hard, so hard, and unbelievably fair and unbelievably good at law enforcement. I just want to congratulate you. Very special person. And I'd also like to thank Justice Clarence Thomas and his incredible wife, who's here someplace. There she is. Incredible, highly respected wife, too, I will say. I remember a couple of years ago, a little bit more than that, toward the end of my first term, I was introducing a lot of people at a big event, about 5,000 people, in your biggest ballroom. You know what that is? And they were getting a nice smattering of applause. They were very important people. And then I introduced Justice Clarence Thomas. The place went crazy. And it was then that I realized that you are a very popular guy and respected guy. So thank you for being here. It's an honor and a great honor for Pam. Thank you very much. Pam was a career prosecutor for nearly 20 years and was one of the toughest and smartest and best and most successful attorney generals in the history of Florida. And I think I put it out this morning, I think she's going to end up going down as the most successful, or certainly one of the most successful attorney generals that this country has ever had. I really believe that. I know her well. A lot of people in Florida, if you're in Florida, you know her well. And it was all good. It was never a problem, no problem. As a prosecutor, she locked up drug dealers and gang members and human traffickers and was waging war all the time on the pill mills, they called them, that fueled the deadly opioid crisis. And she did better than anybody else. There was nobody like her in the country. She also won over $50 billion in lawsuits for the victims of financial fraud and devastating Deepwater Horizon oil spill, which was brutal. And she was the leader of that whole deal, getting that people taken care of. As Attorney General of the United States, Pam has a historic and urgently needed task ahead of her. And probably there's never been a time, Clarence, that's more important than right now. We went through 4 years of not such good work in many ways, not just with the president, at other levels also with the president, obviously. She's going to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice and restore the constitutional rule of law in America. She will lead the Democrats. You know where they're going to, at least she's going to lead them right down. But I think she's going to be as impartial as you can possibly be. I know I'm supposed to say she's going to be totally impartial with respect to Democrats. And I think she will be as impartial as a person can be. I'm not sure if there's a possibility of totally, but she's going to be as total as you can get, Gianni, right? But she's going to be fair, and she'll lead the Department of Justice in crushing violent crime, demolishing the gangs, which are
all over the place. If you look at New York, if you look at Chicago, if you look at Los Angeles, which is half burned down, unfortunately, because they didn't have the water and they didn't have what they were supposed to have. Destroying the terrorist cartels is going to be a very big priority for Pam, and that leads to crime and it leads to a lot of drugs. So she's going to take care of it, and she'll stop the invasion of our country and get fentanyl off our streets. And we're going to be working with her very closely. Christine Holm and Tom Homan and all of the people are going to be working very closely with Pam. She's going to end the weaponization of federal law enforcement and restore honesty and integrity at the DOJ and the FBI. And she's going to be working with Cash, and she's going to be working with a lot of other people that you've been reading about, writing about over the last few weeks. The role of Attorney General comes with immense responsibility, but I have absolute confidence that Pam will fulfill her duties with honor and courage and strength and fairness. She's going to be fair. She's going to be very fair. And now I'd like to invite Justice Thomas to administer the oath of office. And thank you all for being here. It's a very important day, I believe, in our country's history. Thank you very much.
I do solemnly swear
I, Pamela Bondi, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And before Pam says, I just want to introduce her very, very handsome husband. I hate being around him. He looks too good. And he's been a tremendous factor with Pam and just a beautiful relationship. Who's here? And Mother, look how good you look, huh? Look how good. So I just wanted to introduce them. And Pam, have fun,
President.
please.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. I've known you for many, many years, and I will not let you down. I am truly honored that you have asked me to take on this role, and I will make you proud, and I will make this country proud.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank all of my friends who are here today, my dear friends and my family, my mom, my husband, my pastor, Aaron Burke is here. So many of my good friends and my colleagues. So thank you all so much. And I will restore integrity to the Justice Department, and I will fight violent crime throughout this country and throughout this world and make America safe again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I ask
It's a
about your
great day.
Gaza? Can we ask about your Gaza proposal? A lot of people are talking about, obviously, got a lot of attention.
Everybody loves it, but this is just not the right time. But we'll maybe do something later. This is a very important and, in my opinion, solemn occasion. So I don't think we're going to talk about other subjects.
Mr. President, what is your top priority? What is your top priority, Madam Attorney General, for this new position that you've now been sworn into?
Well, I can just say very simply, for me, overall, very simple, make America great again. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make America great again. And she's going to take crime out of the system. As much as anybody can do that, she's going to do it.
We're going to make America safe again.
Mr.
All
President.
right, guys. Let's go, guys.
Thank you,
guys. Hey, guys, let's go.
Thank you very
Let's go.
much.
Thank you, guys. Come on.
Thank you very much. You all set? So it's an honor to have you back. A friend of mine, Kid Rock, sometimes referred to as Bob. I know him as Bob, but he's been a good friend for a long time, many years. And he's been after something that is for the good of a lot of people, including in particular the public, and having to do with ticket sales and scalping and all of the gouging that you have been reading about. It's gotten worse and worse with time. And I didn't know too much about it, but I checked it out, and it is a big problem. And I thought, I think you've been trying to get this done for 20 years or something. He said Trump got it done in 2 weeks. But we came up with a very serious EO, and I'm going to sign it now. And maybe I'll ask you, Will, to explain a little bit about it, please.
Of course, sir. So this is an executive order, as you said, that deals with the ticket reselling business. For fans of live entertainment and for entertainers as well, the ticket reselling industry has become a huge issue. These people use bots and computer algorithms to buy up huge blocks of tickets and then jack up the price so that fans of live entertainers like Mr. Ritchie, I almost called him Mr. Rock, don't have access to concerts the way that they should. And when they do, it's at exorbitantly high prices. So what this executive order does, it charges the FTC and the Department of Justice with rigorously enforcing laws on the books in collaboration with state attorneys general that have power over consumer protection and other people who have the power to really crack down on this issue so that entertainers and fans won't be subject to these abusive and oftentimes illegal practices.
Good. Thank you very much. Bob, you want to say something?
Yeah, anybody it doesn't matter your politics. First off, thank you, Mr. President, because this has happened at lightning speed. I know you I want to make sure Alina Habba gets her credit too, because I know she worked very hard on this, but thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's 170. You don't know what you can charge for, but more importantly, these bots, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400 or 500% markup. And the artists don't see any of that money. And, ultimately, I think this is a great first step. I would love down the road if there'd be some legislation that we could actually put a cap on the resale of tickets. And I'm a capitalist and a deregulation guy, but they've tried this in some places in Europe, and it seems to be the only thing that's us as artists be able to get the tickets into the hands of the fans at the prices we set. I'll be the first one to say, and I know the president doesn't like when I say this, but I'm a little overpaid right now. It's kind of ridiculous. I would rather be, a hero to the working class people and have them be able to come attend my shows and give them a fair ticket price. I can't control that right now. So hopefully this is a step to really be able to make that happen. I know a lot of artists and a lot of fans who love concerts and music are going to be very appreciative of you taking this
And I
action,
think
sir.
Bob is more interested in the fans and the people that are having to pay crazy prices than he is the artist. Maybe the artist a little bit, but the fans a lot. I've spoken to him over the years about it. And it's been, it bothers him. It bothers a lot of other artists too. You see the artists and they go out with $100 ticket and it sells for $2,000 the following night. And they seem to be able to sweep up the best locations too, which is pretty amazing. So
They've only enforced that Box Act one time, I believe. A couple of years ago in New York City, I think we got a $2 million fine. And that's the only time they've enforced that act.
And who's the primary culprit? Who sells these tickets?
It's the scalpers. It's these bots go in and they're automated. So
But is there a company involved? You might not want to say.
No. Well, there's reselling markets. Yeah.
I think I know, Peter. But that's all right. Don't get them involved. Maybe they're more innocent than we think.
Well, if you think of it, like if Ticketmaster sells a ticket, if you buy a ticket and go to a show, you're in a lot of ways their worst customer. Because they make another 17, whatever percentage every time that ticket resells. So they don't want to enforce the Bots Act necessarily because they're making more money off it. Look, the artists don't see any of that money, but that's not what I'm advocating for, is for me to make more money. I want the fans to have fair ticket prices, be able to go and enjoy more shows. I know people that they decide on a family vacation or going to their favorite concert once a year rather than, my parents used to go see multiple shows when you could afford them back in their day. And I'd like to take my ticket prices lower, but if I set my ticket prices low, these bots immediately eat them up and they resell for hundreds of dollars more. And I'm just making these bad actors rich.
Well, I think this is a big step to getting it stopped. Do you have something, Brian?
Yeah, I do actually. I actually feel that the consumer is going to take the money that they've saved and actually buy merch, which you guys have a big percentage of, or do concessions, which you guys split with the venue on that as well. So I think their
We
money
don't
goes
share in
first.
concessions a lot.
No?
No, those are, we try to, but they don't want us, they don't want to share it in the beer prices and parking or any of that stuff. But the bottom line is there's money for everyone to be made. There's plenty of money to go around. You know, no one's going to really lose here. You know, Ticketmaster, if we can get a cap, they're going to lose some money. But I've already talked to the CEO, Mike, and he's given me his word. He's on board for it.
I was talking to Jacoby with Papa Roach earlier, and by the way, he's a big fan of what you're doing, President Trump, digging into this whole scalping and the bots. A lot of musicians, you can say that, they're with Kid Rock, sir.
Good. I think so. A lot of people are.
President Trump, would you ever wear a jacket like that?
I don't know. I was thinking about doing it for tomorrow. We have a big event coming up, and I was thinking about doing it, but I'm not sure.
So you recently bought a Tesla for White House staff to use, but now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas. Are the staff scared to drive it?
I don't think so. I haven't heard. They weren't complaining. I did buy one, and I let the staff use it. We have it parked conveniently, and one day we give it to Margot, one day we give it to Chamberlain, give it to Natalie, we give it to everybody around, give it to Dan Scavino, but he's got so much money it doesn't matter. But they love the car, and it's a great car, and it's made here. You know, it's made in the country. He's got a tremendous plant now in Texas, and he had one, and he has one in California. Does a lot of his work here, and he's been really unfairly treated, in my opinion.
I drive one.
And
Yeah.
there's this other story. I know it's hypothetical right now, but if you were allowed for some reason to run for a third term, is there a thought that the Democrats could try to run Barack Obama against you
I'd love that.
for his third term?
Boy, I'd love that. That would be a good one. I'd like that. No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I have not looked into it. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close to 4 years. Time is flying, but it's still close to 4 years, and we're getting a lot of credit for having done a great job in the first almost 100 days. And we have some big things we're going to be announcing over the next 2 days that you know very well, Peter. And I think it's going to be something that's going to bring a lot of wealth back to our country, tremendous wealth back to our country, actually. And other countries are understanding it because they've been ripping us for 50 years longer, but they've been ripping us off for years, right from the beginning. And I think this is going to be an amazing, you know, I call it a lot of different names, but it's really, in a sense, it's a rebirth of a country because how we could have afforded to do what we did. We helped everybody, and they don't help us. I really, the term I like best probably is the liberation of America. It's the liberation of this country because it's incredible. Look, we have 36 trillion in debt for a reason, and that accumulates over a long period of time. So I think what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of days will be very inspiring to a lot of people. You know, they had a lot of auto plants being built in a certain country. I don't want to mention the country because we get along great with the country, but those plants aren't being built there anymore. They gave them up today and yesterday, day before, and they're building them all now in the United States. And we have many examples, not only auto plants, chip companies from Taiwan are coming in. The biggest, Mr. Wei, he's big. I said, you are a smart guy, aren't you? I've been reading about him over the years, but he controls a large portion of the chip business, as you know. You don't get smarter. They're going to be investing $200 or $300 billion. Apple's investing $500 billion. You know, they always built their places in China. Now he's building here. I think because of you speak to Tim Cook, because of the election, but maybe more importantly, because of the tariffs. You know, he's got really an obligation to do it. But we have many, many companies that you haven't even heard of. But I think we'll be at $5 trillion very soon. And if you think about this, we've never been anywhere near that. I don't know if we've ever been at $1 trillion.
What do you mean by that?
We're 500 What do I mean by a trillion?
5 trillion, what are you referring to, sir?
I think that we're going to be at $5 trillion of investment. I think you're going to have investments very shortly. We're already 3.5, and we have commitments, verbal commitments for a lot more. And numbers like that have never been done in this country. And it's going to get harder. This is in 2 months. It's really in less than 2 months, because since we've really gone out with it. And we have other interesting things happening. But to me, the whole tariff situation, and essentially they've done that to us for many years. So if we're anywhere near 5 trillion in 2 months, this could be numbers like the country's never seen. And every time you hear a dollar spent, that's another job, because the jobs are coming with it. So auto plants, chip plants, pharmaceuticals, lumber coming in. We have things happening in this country. I'm not sure that they've ever seen it. Steel, we have tariffs on steel. They've been here for a while. Steel and aluminum. Nobody's ever seen anything like we're witnessing now. Nobody's ever seen anything. Most of you agree with that. I mean, it's nothing much you can't agree with. We have things happening in terms of jobs and investment, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen. If you look at, let's say, $4 to $5 trillion in a period of a month and a half, that's even more than you do with your concerts, which are always sold out, right? Nobody's ever seen numbers. And think of it, where Apple's at 500 billion, as I said, but they always used to spend that money in China. Now they're spending it here. That means you're going to build, now they don't have any tariffs. Remember, there are no tariffs if you do your product here, if you build whatever it is in the USA. One of the things we're also trying to get is if you buy a car that was built in the USA, you get a deduction on interest. So if you go out and borrow money to buy a car, if it's built in the USA, never been done before. It's a big deduction for people that really aren't used to deductions, frankly, because people that buy cars like that are not big into the world of deductions. And now they're going to learn about deductions. So I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Mr. President, are you going to move ahead with a universal tariff or different individual tariff rates on a whole variety of different?
Well, you're going to see in 2 days, which is maybe tomorrow night or probably Wednesday, you're going to see. And they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were. We have a lot of countries, friend and foe. I always say friend and foe, but the friend in many cases is worse than the foe. They took advantage of us. And we are going to be very nice by comparison to what they were. The numbers will be lower than what they've been charging us. And in some cases, maybe substantially lower, but we sort of have a world obligation perhaps. But we're going to be very nice. Relatively speaking, we're going to be very kind.
Mr. President, you met with the chairman.
Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, "You're such a kind person." And I said, "Say that again." They said, "You're a kind person." I said, "I've never heard that before." It was a weird statement. I was kind.
Who said that?
I've heard of words that I don't know, I better not tell you. I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word. Is that it?
Mr. President, you met with the chairman of Stellantis today. Did
Yes.
he ask you for a pause on the auto tariffs?
No.
What was that meeting about?
Just about some of the problems they have with the environmental, which we're going to clean up.
Have any of the automakers?
We're going to probably go back to 1920. If you look, we're going to go back probably to a 2020 standard. So we'll have 2020 standard, and that's just a few years ago. Oh, they're making it so difficult all over the world. It doesn't mean a damn bit of difference either for the environment. It doesn't matter. They make it impossible for people to build cars. So we're going to be doing much different. 2020 is a strong standard, but they've taken it to a level now that makes it very difficult to build a car. So we're going to be bringing it back to a standard that is a very good environmental standard, but it makes it possible to build a car.
Have you heard any concerns from the automakers, though, about the tariffs on parts that will go into effect over the coming weeks, about what that's going to mean for the price of
Well, I gave them a
American-made
big
cars?
break for a month. I didn't charge them anything, for a big month, for that first month. And they brought a lot of material into this country because they could bring it in without tariff. If you look at Canada and Mexico, they were driving hundreds of thousands of cars into the market because they avoid the tariffs by doing it before the tariffs go on, which would be Wednesday. And I saw in some of your shows where cars are lined up for miles and miles. Some of them didn't have fenders on them. Some of them didn't have the roof on yet. They're driving it here brand new. They're driving it in because they want to avoid the tariffs. I let them have that. They sort of took advantage of it because, that wasn't part of the deal, but that's okay.
Are there any
They're
countries-
great American car companies. And so I gave them a little break on that. Yeah.
Are there any countries that you're not targeting on Wednesday?
Well, it depends. I said it's reciprocal. Not everybody has made a fortune, but almost everybody has, but not everybody. And the ones that haven't, we're going to be very nice to them.
And on a separate issue.
Because that word reciprocal is very important. What they do to us, we do to them. Okay.
Can I just ask you briefly on President Putin? You said over the weekend or indicated over the weekend some frustration with him. How serious are you about imposing oil sanctions on
No, I
Russian
want
oil?
to see him make a deal so that we stop Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers and other people from being killed. But mostly it's Russian and Ukrainian soldiers. They're losing at least 2,500 human beings, beautiful human beings, a week. And I wanted to stop. And some people would say, why do you worry about Russian soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers? I worry because it's like, they're just like you people. They're like us. They're like all of us. And I seem to have an ability to do those things. And if I can do that, I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. And I think we will. No, I want to make sure that he follows through, and I think he will. I don't want to go secondary tariffs on his oil, but I think, it's something I would do if I thought he wasn't doing the job. I did it with Venezuela, secondary tariffs, and you know what happened? Every boat left the harbor. Did you see that? It was a beautiful thing to see. The whole harbor emptied out. My words weren't even finished. I have these massive ships. They're actually taking the hoses and dumping them into there. They couldn't get out of there fast enough because they know I don't play games. So I think he's going to live up to what he told me, and I think he's going to fulfill his part of the deal. Now, then you have Zelensky, and hopefully he's going to live up. I see he's trying to renegotiate the rare earth. We did something because, as you know, the Europeans get paid back the money that they gave, and we don't, because Biden is an incompetent president. And he should have asked for rare earth, or he should have asked for the loans to be guaranteed in some form. That's what Europe did. Europe is in for probably $100 billion. And we're in for 350 billion. So we're in for more than 3 times. And now you could make it a little bit less than that, but it doesn't matter, whatever the number. We're in for substantially more than Europe. We could be in for 350 billion. They have no idea because Biden wasn't a good bookkeeper except for himself. And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you, I heard that they're now saying, well, I'll only do that deal if we get into NATO or something to that effect. Well, that was never, number one, discussed. Number two, I think it's going to be very long before Putin. They said, you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
We're hours away from a very special election. Wisconsin, Florida. I want to share your thoughts on Republican voters to not sleep on this. These are 2 very important races to get out.
Well, it's a big race, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It's taking place essentially as it was early voting. And so we'll see what happens. It's a big race. I love Wisconsin. We won Wisconsin. Republicans typically don't do very well in Wisconsin, but I did. I actually won it twice. I actually probably won it 3 times to be exact.
They played their side.
Not probably. I won it 3 times. We had a rigged election the second time, but that's, one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes,
Too big
sir.
to rig?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, but there's a big race, and I hope you get out and vote for the Republican. The woman is a radical left lunatic. And let's see who wins. But the woman will be very bad. And Wisconsin's a big state politically. And the Supreme Court has a lot to do with elections in Wisconsin. So if whoever it is that's running, including, even Senate races, et cetera, but whoever it is in 4 years that runs, having Wisconsin is a very big, we won it early and big, but winning Wisconsin's a big deal. So therefore, the Supreme Court choice. That's is the one you're talking about right now. It's a big race. It's going to be announced fairly shortly.
President, on TikTok, big week of deadlines, you got Liberation Day and the TikTok deadline.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
do, which I can extend if I want, but we have a lot of enthusiasm for TikTok, for buying it. I think TikTok is good. I used it I was a great TikTok guy, and we won by 36 points, the youth. We won the youth, which Republicans don't do. Maybe it's because Kid Rock likes Trump, I don't know, but we won the youth by 36 points, and I attribute some of that to TikTok.
Is the TikTok deal, the negotiations now, tied to a bigger tariff deal with China?
No, but it could be. I mean, I've used tariffs for lots of different reasons, but I could see, 1 point in tariffs with China, a big country, would be probably worth more than all of TikTok, as valuable as TikTok is. It's big stuff. So there's a great example. That's a great question, actually. I'm a very flexible person. I could use that for that. Like, maybe I'll take a couple of points off if I get approvals for something. I haven't done it. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, but it's a very good question. Peter, you're very good.
Thank you. You'll love this one.
Go ahead.
It's not front page news, but I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship was hurt very badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through, who knew nothing about it. But Vanessa and Don had a very good relationship. They have incredible children, 5 incredible children, all good athletes, all great students, they're like great. And they broke up, quite a while ago, and which was to me very sad because I think they're both great, Don and Vanessa. And Tiger actually called me a few months ago, and they have a very special, very good relationship with Tiger. I played golf with him a couple of times over the last month, and he's a fantastic guy and a fantastic athlete. And he told me about it, and I said, Tiger, it's good. It's good. I'm very happy for both. I just let them both be happy. Let them both be happy. They're both great.
To follow up on China, China, South Korea, and Japan say they're going to work together in cooperation to respond to the tariffs that you're going to put into effect this week. Are you concerned that this move of the tariffs this week could push some of the United States' closest allies to work with China?
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask you
I
about
think they have a
something?
chance of doing better, actually, with the tariffs. It could actually help them in a certain way. And I think a lot of them will drop their tariffs because, they've been unfairly tariffing the United States for years. And if you look at the European Union on cars, the European Union already dropped their tariff down to 2.5%. It was announced a couple of days ago, which is what which is a very small tariff. The United States charged very little. And I think I heard that India just a little while ago is going to be dropping its tariffs very substantially. And I said, why didn't somebody do this a long time ago? A lot of countries are going to be dropping their tariffs.
About something that happened in France today, Mr. President. Marine Le Pen, the far-right leader, got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment?
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country. Okay, anybody else?
Mr. President, you presented with a bunch of proposals for tariffs by your advisors that were talking about that idea publicly.
And who?
That your advisors have presented ideas
They
to
do.
you about tariffs and what to do in the next 2 days. Have you settled
Well,
on
you're
any?
going to see, I've settled, actually a long time ago. But we talk about it. We talk about it a lot. We want to do what's right for the country and even the world. It affects the world, not just this country. This has been the piggy bank for the entire world. So it really does affect the world, and that's important to me also. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President, in the past you have said that you want the quick return of Austin Tice, a Marine Corps veteran and a journalist who went missing in Syria over 12 years ago. Have efforts been made to locate Austin Tice been extended beyond Syria, including potential leads in Iran? And do you have plans to get in touch with Miss Deborah Tice, the mother of Miss Austin Tice? And also at the same time, organizations like Hostage Aid Worldwide have been on the ground in Syria, searching for Austin Tice for many years. Can I get your comment on the future, potential future plans to locate Austin Tice and to bring him home finally?
So we've been looking, as you know, for Austin for years. I don't know about Biden. I don't think Biden was looking for anything, but we were, and there's been virtually no sign. You know that there's been no sign of Austin. An incredible young guy. Be less young now. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been many, many years. The mother is fantastic. She's a very committed mother that her whole life is to find her son who was in Syria and just disappeared off the face of the earth. So, you know, a lot of bad things happen, but we're always, you know, we will never, until we find out something definitive, one way or the other, we'll never stop looking for him. But we have been, and the response, it's just a lot of dead ends. He's been gone for a long time. The problem is there's never been a sighting. You know, sometimes you'll have somebody you're looking for him and there's a sighting. There's never been a sighting of Austin, but we are out there and we have great respect for his family and for his mother. She's been unbelievable. Yeah,
Mr. President, a question about,
no, behind you.
yes, you've had outreach with the leaders of Russia and China. You've made an outreach to Iran. When are you going to plan to reach out to North Korea and Kim Jong-un? Anytime in the near future?
Well, I do. I have a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un. Now, you people hate to hear that, but it's very important.
Bueno, aquí llegamos hasta el desarrollo de esta noticia, que es esta conferencia de prensa dada por el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, sobre el ataque que sufrió Venezuela esa madrugada y sobre la captura de Nicolas Maduro, que ya se encuentra en Estados Unidos. La noticia sigue en desarrollo y desde Convoca vamos a seguir informando sobre todo lo que venga aconteciendo en las próximas horas y los próximos días. Les invitamos a leer nuestra nota que hemos publicado en nuestra página convoca.p. También les invitamos a donar en nuestra campaña de microdonaciones, haz tu parte, el cual aparece en pantalla el código QR arriba a la derecha y abajo. Eso ha sido todo y esperemos que la información brindada hasta el momento le haya sido de mucha importancia. Nos despedimos hasta una próxima oportunidad.